Hello and welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews. It's your hosts Ian and Gary.
Hello.
And today we're going to review 2012 movie Sightseers. Ian, why don't you give us the synopsis?
Well, the story for Sightseers follows Chris and Tina, who are a pair of lovers who are, I guess, were met on a dating website. And Chris has convinced Tina to come on a camping holiday with him. They travel to the Lake District, but as the holiday progresses, you realise that Chris has a bit of a dark side. Slight things push him over the edge, which allows him to push some people over the edge.
This film was very similar to a Mike Leigh movie that came out, I think, in 1976 called The Nuts of May, which is pretty much just this couple going for an idyllic British holiday in the caravan. And of course, you know, other tents and other caravans turn up next to them, and just, you know, it's just that quintessential being agitated by somebody whilst you're trying to enjoy a holiday. And Sightseers kind of takes that premise to a whole new level where it is really dark, really brutal, and very funny.
the main actor and actress, Alice Lowe plays Tina, and Steve Oram plays Chris. They wrote the story. The dialogue for this film just kind of sets it up as just a really black comedy. I mean, the film opens up with Tina living at home with her mum.
Oh, Mum. 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 Mum.
And they have a very strained and awkward relationship involving the mum's dog, Poppy. But it's as they start to travel that you really kind of see little hints towards what British people would actually do on a caravan holiday. You know, like we said, if somebody parks too close to you or they've stolen your spot, it really fucking pisses you off. But like we said, Chris kind of takes it a little bit to the extreme by murdering people.
It gets to the point where you actually start to like the characters, and you can tell that they're kind of they're a little bit socially awkward.
Yeah.
And it's their charm, and once they're on the holiday, you kind of sympathise with them, and you kind of feel like you're on holiday with them. And when they start killing, when he kills off his the first person, you kind of like a witness to it, and it kind of leaves you feeling like, well, yeah, you know, it's like what you've always wanted to do, or you might have fantasized doing at a holiday where you're trying to enjoy yourself, and there's just some twat that's really, really just going to upset you. And so it's just kind of like living that fantasy out. And just for a little while, you were kind of just wondering whether it was just a fantasy, but he's actually killing people. And so that's where like the cold reality of the film starts to really come through in the film. And it's interesting that you should say about the script is the fact that this was originally like a theatre play where the two of them actually had this script and they would improvise it and work on it, and it was more of a stage performance where it was, you know, then adapted to a screenplay for a movie, and then of course they played their parts fantastically.
The dialogue, I mean, the kills are exceptionally gory.
They're
in
very
some
brutal.
places, you kind of think, Jesus Christ, you know, that's a bit like a typical Hollywood horror. But for me, it's the dialogue pieces that they have which really sets them about. I mean, it's you have just them sat in the caravan, and you know they're just talking, and Chris is saying stuff about how he's trying to write a book and he hasn't had any inspiration for ages, and Tina's all excited because she's now his muse. You know, she's never been a muse for anybody before, and obviously she's really happy to do this, but she doesn't fucking help. She just she hinders him in some places and then pushes him to the extreme in other places. And like we said, you kind of feel sorry for Chris, and then you kind of feel sorry for Tina, and then you feel sorry for the both of them, that they're shoved in this tiny caravan trying to get at each other.
I'm sorry, but if you don't pick up this excrement immediately, then I'm going to have to inform the National Trust.
Actually, do you know what? I don't think you are sorry, mate.
I don't think you're sorry either.
Did he touch you?
What?
No, wasn't concentrating.
Have a think. Can you remember everything?
Yes, he did touch me.
Oh, this is preposterous.
There are some really genuinely awkward moments in the film with the dialogue where you would expect the scene to end or the pacing just to continue. The camera just kind of lingers there in those sort of awkward silences where, you know, the wrong thing's kind of been said. It's like the scene where they go to that other couple's caravan and they're having a look around inside and they're just like, wow, you know, all this paneling, all this space, you know, all this equipment. And then they find out that they're very minimalist. Yeah. And then she was like, oh, you could decorate it. And she was like, no, we don't like that. And so, you know, the boyfriend's just like, oh, fuck him. Starts breaking the plates, and the girlfriend's like, oh, she gets a thrill out of it. And so you kind of see it escalating where they're kind of giving each other the thrill ride during this holiday, in comparison to perhaps some of the dullest places that they do visit.
A pencil museum.
Fucking pencil museum. She spends like 20 quid, is it? Or more on a giant pencil.
And she's writing with it.
So there are some really quirky, funny moments in it, equally matched by the dark, awkward, tense moments where after you've seen them killing people and they're kind of sort of taking it in their stride after a while. And when it's building up to the fact that you might think that they're going to kill someone off, or who they're going to kill off, or how, or if they're going to get away with it, it just kind of keeps escalating very subtly.
Yeah.
Which actually builds into one of my favorite sequence in the film is a dream sequence. Where it just kind of breaks from the normal film where the pacing is really fast and there's like vampire imagery, there's like, you know, the woods, the dark, and the menace.
Yeah.
And beautifully shot. I was actually surprised at some of the cinematography for the film, especially when you see, you know, the mist coming over the hills or the valleys. It was breathtaking. It was actually fantastic to watch on a visual style.
See, that's funny because obviously you have these really beautiful shots with them just out in the wilderness, but then obviously you have all these cluttered shots where they go to like the camping sites and they're trying to drive past that guy really quickly so they can steal his spot, and then they get to the spot and they realise it's fucking shit because they've got people near them and it's pissing them off. The other characters in the film just add just an extra little bit of spice. I mean, you have Tina's mum, who is, you know, she kind of hates Tina, but then she doesn't want her to go away. You know, and she's just like, you're a murderer and you're just going away to have sex and all this kind of stuff. And Tina stood there with this look on her face like, yeah. That's what we're going to go do. That's what I'm hoping we're going to go do. But then, like we said, the first guy that they come across that pushes Chris over the edge, you know, that's a really brilliant scene with the family all upset. And then obviously you have the two people in the caravan that obviously Chris hates the fucking caravan because he likes a certain type. And then you got Martin, the weed smoker, who's obviously designed his own personal travel caravan, and all these little extra characters. You kind of like, don't get too close, they're gonna fucking kill you. But then you're like, oh, I want to see them talk more. I want to see more conversation pieces. It's absolutely brilliant. I mean, I have quite a few favorite scenes in this film. One of the scenes that always does make me laugh is when she pulls out that knitted, sexy woolen underwear.
Crotchless panties.
Crotchless panties. And she stood in the caravan wearing it, and I'm thinking, is that sexy? Can wool be sexy?
It was the innocence. It was the fact that she was trying, you know, to make it work. And this film does have quite a perverse sort of sense of humour, and it's no holds barred in its exploration of it either. There's just that hilarious moment where they've kind of adopted this dog, which they can't decide on what to call it.
Didn't they steal it?
Yes. And they're having sex in the caravan, and you see his ass going, and the dog's kind of, you know, it's watching, and it comes up and it starts licking his ass.
What am I watching? Chris is there with the camera trying to have sex with Tina, taking all these pictures. But it leads up to another scene which was just so brilliantly done, where she's flicking through the pictures after they've had sex, and she's realised that, well, she hasn't realised, but she sees that there's another woman in the footage, and she's looking down at her vagina, and she's shoving the camera in his face, and she's like,
This is not my vagina!
and Chris, and the way Steve Oram responds to it is absolutely brilliant, because this conversation goes on that neither of them realise that that's a different woman. They still think it's Tina's vagina. I'm like, what the fuck?
No wonder. When you look at Ian,
That's not Ian, that's me, that.
were you shagging Janice?
What are you talking about?
Were you shagging Ian?
Be stupid.
Were you shagging both of them?
Ah, come on.
Are you gay?
What do you know? I'm not gay.
Why are they at a wedding?
I do want to talk about the restaurant sequence. Another one of my favourite scenes is where the two of them, they're having this really nice candlelit dinner because Chris has got a voucher for 2 meals, and there's a hen party going on, and so obviously they're trying to hold in their frustration that, you know, the noise is disturbing them, and Tina just leans over the table to Chris and she says to him, "I'm not wearing any underwear." And you're like, "Oh, okay." And Chris is like, "Oh, I'll drop my knife. I'll just go and have a look." And he climbs under the table and he pulls up her skirt.
Can't see anything.
I'm wearing tights.
Fuck, I was just like, oh my.
It is so well written. The comedy in there equally matches the dark humour in there. It really is genuinely a very good movie, and I'm surprised that it's got such a low score on IMDb or on Metacritic. The film actually deserves to be seen, just to see those comedy moments and those awkward moments played out so beautifully. It is quite essentially a stab, it's a joke on sort of the idyllic British holidays.
Yeah.
And this film kind of parodies that so fantastically.
I cannot recommend this film enough. I mean, the director himself had already done Kill List before, and we did have Kill List on our ever expanding list of films to review, but with all those different films, it kind of got pushed back, and then Sightseers came out, and we were like, we have to do this movie. And it is like we said, it's a parody of those kind of people who go on holiday and want to kill their caravanning neighbours. You know, if you've ever felt like that, you have to watch this film. It is brilliant. It's brilliant British dark comedy filming. I can't recommend it enough.
Murderer. It was an accident, Mum. So were you.
Yeah, I highly recommend Sightseers. I don't recommend it for everybody because you will already know that once, within 3 minutes of the movie, you will automatically know whether the film is for you or not, just by the way it's paced, and by the way it's written, and just by the way the actors deliver their lines. It is an awkward experience, and so some people might actually find it uncomfortable. There is also obviously some sex scenes in there and some blood and gore, so you might shy away from that sort of thing. But if you really want to give it a go, I highly recommend Sightseers. And it also has a fantastic ending as well, because obviously as the film's playing out, you're kind of wondering how they're going to get away with it, because throughout the film you kind of see them try and cover up how these accidents might have occurred, until it gets to the point where it's just like it's obvious that there's serial killers going around the Lake District just offing people.
The Lake District.
And so it does build up to a fantastic ending, which just jumps then straight into the credits. You definitely need to watch Sightseers.
Martin just said some filthy things to me, Chris.
Yeah? Well, do tell.
He said I was a dirty, slutty bitch. And he wanted to fuck me. And he said he wanted to shit in my mouth and in my underwear. And he said he wanted to shit in my hand and make me use it as a brown lipstick.
Thanks for watching Off the Shelf Reviews.
One fucking word, and it's